Hello, we are going to continue with the Thomas Hardy cycle, but today we are going to devote ourselves to his style and narrative strategies. As I said before, he's considered to be a prime figure in the 19th century, 20th century, because he revolutionized literature by talking about literary taboos of the time. And also because of his realism. When I say unfamiliar realism, I'm talking about things like having characters who are ordinary men and women, especially living in rural settings. There is nothing extraordinary in them except that they are like us, and that makes them extraordinary because they experience the same desires we do, and they battle against the fire of the morality of the time, the Victorian era, and the beginning of the 20th century. Um, but what they do is heroic because they are always going to lose that battle. And there is where fatalism enters. His novels, for example, Jude the Obscure, Test of the D'Urbervilles in special, they were so attacked by the critics, by the readers themselves, that he felt that that was enough. He stopped writing novels and he devoted himself to poetry for the last 30 years of his life. I always think that was a pity because I adore his novels, but he was fed up with censorship. His prose is influential for many reasons, but I'm just going to concentrate on a few. First of all, as I say, as a social commentator of the time, he's unique. He addresses class inequalities, marriage, social injustices, the inferiority of women in a time when people, the writers, did not talk about that. They are not aristocratic characters, they are ordinary human beings. His characters are crafted with complex personalities, and that is magnificent. And that is not really what you see at the time in books. And these human beings are very memorable to us because they fight against the same expectations from society, personal desires. They have the same moral dilemmas we have. So we have characters that are very rounded, if you know what I mean. They are multifaceted, and that is really exciting when you're reading one of his books. The critics call him pessimist because he had a tragic vision of life after reading Darwin's The Origin of the Species. The critics call his main narrative technique fatalism. And they said, not Hardy, but the critics said, that he had developed sort of motifs in his prose. What is a motif? It's a recurrent structure or pattern. It can be a sound, it can be a word that is repeated over and over again. I'm going to focus today on nature as a motif of fate. Nature is often personified in his books. It's like one of the characters, and it can be used by Hardy to delineate a character, to interpret what the character wants, and um, the mood of the character. Nature is described in such a way that it accompanies the moods of the characters. We shouldn't forget that Hardy is a naturalist, so descriptions, which were very important, became very important in realism, at the end of the 19th century and also in naturalism are part of essential part of his books. If you don't like long descriptions, then maybe hard is not for you. You need to read the descriptions; they are very important. What happens with nature? Well, nature is magnanimous with the characters who adapt to their environment, but it can be sinister if the character doesn't like the environment. That's what we will see in two examples. One of them I leave for you to look at, and this is from Test of the D'Urbervilles. And it goes like this. It was a hazy sunrise, in August. The denser nocturnal vapors, attacked by the warm beams, were dividing and shrinking into isolated fleeces within hollows and cupboards, where they waited till they should be dried away to nothing. He's saying that night is ending, dawn is coming, and the sun is shining in those corners of the valley of the forest, which previously were misty, foggy, dark. It's bringing warmth and light and clarity, if you want. The sun, on account of the mist, had a curious, sentient, personal look, demanding the masculine pronoun for its adequate expression. His present aspect, coupled with the lack of all human forms in the scene, explain the old-time heliolatries in a moment. So he is personifying the sun. He's saying that he has to be a man, has to be masculine, because, well, of his strength, of his virility, if you want, and that the sun shining through the mist, in spite of the mist, is maybe explains why pagan communities before Christianity idealized the sun, the heliolatries of the time of the past. The luminary was a golden-haired, beaming, mild-eyed, godlike creature gazing down in the vigor and intentness of youth upon an earth that was brimming with interest for him. Notice how he's personified, the sun. He looks like a young man. He's blonde. He's beaming, he's smiling benevolently on us. His mild eye, so he's kind. He has a kind look on his face. He's like a god. He's looking from the sky towards us, who are looking at him with interest. So the whole paragraph is it's a beautiful motif of nature, if you want. He's using the sun personification. He's describing the sun with detail. He's saying how important the sun is when there was mist and fog the previous night, and when everything looks a bit sad, maybe because it's winter, maybe because it's autumn. We don't really know. So this is my bibliography for you to look at. But I'm going to end by telling you that I will post two examples taken from the Woodlanders this time, and I would like to read your opinions. I mean, can you explain why these two examples I have chosen are motifs of nature? How do they work? Well, that's all. I read you. Bye.